Hello. And after a long time, at last we could make it. We could log in. Um, Dear viewers, welcome to the 78th episode of Let's Talk Inclusion. I'm Manobina Chakraborty, your host, and I have with me today Caroline Hill joining us from the UK and Sreepriya Bhowmik, presently from Myanmar. So, as you know, the topic we have already announced. It is the 5 things that anyone can use in the classroom to support learning. Now, I will give it to you, Sreepriya and Caroline. Please introduce yourselves first, and then let's begin our discussion. Internet is not very good here at my end, so maybe I will not be able to participate more. Please carry on with your dialogues. Thank you. Caroline.
Hi, everyone. I'm Caroline Hill. I'm an SEN consultant in the UK. Had the privilege of speaking at the World Inclusion Conference in Kazakhstan last year, and I have been in education and supporting learning for 29 years, and I look forward to this conversation with Sreepriya and Manobina.
Hi, hi viewers. I think most of you know me already. I'm Sreepriya. I'm originally from UK and currently in Myanmar, and I've been in the field of special needs since '96. So 30 years now. So we are kind of the dinosaurs in this field. Sometimes it feels like, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Today, I know there's some issues with the internet. I hope people can hear me. I just want to start off with something that might resonate with you all and maybe sets you think. So it's a little poem written by a little person, maybe must be a little person, yeah. And it's called The Math Sticker. Today it was addition, and I tried my very best. My fingers got so muddled up, I put a number wrong. I must have just miscounted as I tried to hurry on. That's okay. I'm good at maths, just slower when I'm stressed. Miss said I must be quicker to get a math star sticker. I cannot do my tables. They make my tummy stay sick. Instead, I have a different way, a super nifty trick. I do a table that I know, then count on up from that. It takes a little longer, but I think I have got the knack. But Miss said I must be quicker to get a math star sticker. I got told of again today in trigonometry. We had so many instructions, it made me kind of freeze. My friends all finished way before, as if it was just a breeze. My working memory is not that great. It's like my enemy. My friends remember 10 steps or more, but I remember 3. Today we did some takeaways. Not the tasty sort. Miss said if I don't get it done, she will put me on report. I am sorry that I can't do better. I really wish I could. I don't get why we need to rush to be considered good. I am really not a troublemaker. I don't think that label is fair. You use such different words to me, like it's not divide, it's share. I work hard to keep up, do extra sums and counting. And when you say it's not enough, I feel as if I'm drowning. I got moved down a set today, and everybody knows it. I've tried so hard and still don't fit. I am sorry, I'm not quicker. You can keep that sticker because I am no good at maths. Every time I listen to this poem, read this poem. I can see all the faces. And from being excited about knowing a trick, it went to being a troublemaker whom nobody wants, and the anger building up makes us think, can we do something? Yes, probably as a teacher, we can do something because we are not just teachers, we're educators. And so we need to do it. And I think today's session will be focusing a lot more on what we can do as an educator. Simple changes which can make a huge difference. So over to Caroline.
Oh, thank you. So I thought I'd start off with, I don't know if Manobina has got any of the slides available, so I'm just going to start with a task card and explain what that actually is. Now, a task card is a really simple concept, but an incredibly powerful one. A child who has dyslexia, a child who has neurodiversity, doesn't always keep up with what the teacher is saying, but that's not to say they can't do it. They just need some extra time, they need some extra thinking, and they need to be able to go back to the question or the task that they've been set. So a task card is literally a little card that you have written down with the child's name on the top, and then task 1, task 2, and task 3. Now, when you write these tasks, it's really, really important that you write it in simple language. Be really clear what you would like that student to do, but know the child well enough to use the language that they understand. For example, the outcome of today's session is that we all be able to do our maths and our times tables, and I'd like you to do page 6, 7, and 8 that's in your textbooks, and I'd like it to be finished in 10 minutes. That's not going to help any young person who's struggling with processing or is struggling with the concepts that you're trying to teach. So therefore, on your first task, perhaps it could be, can you show me 3 different ways to make 6? And that therefore is using those concepts of multiplication, but in a really simple, straightforward step. And it's achievable. So these young people can see, I can do it. That's amazing. And when you feel you can do something, you feel empowered. Your confidence rises. You feel better for having a go. Perhaps then the second task could be, if you've managed 3 of those, perhaps you could try, oh, not that slide. Can we go on to the next one? That's mind. Nope, that's take up time. Sorry. It's the one that says no, not that one. That's seating plans. Try again. Not that one. Last one. There it is. Here we go. So really nice visual for you there, so you understand what I'm trying to say. Really simple, really straightforward, easy to read for the person, the young person who's doing the task, but also in the little square on the bottom right-hand corner, you've got an opportunity to feedback. You can feedback with a smiley face. You can feedback with a tick. You could be feedback with, come and see me. But these young people then have something solid, something concrete, and something to work towards, knowing that they're not going to fail, that they can actually achieve what you've asked them to achieve. And once you start building that trust and that relationship with these young people, they'll want to learn more, they'll want to try harder, because you're also trying really hard to meet their needs, which is what inclusion is all about. Sri, over to you.
I think holding on to this task card, that first, next, and finally, this is something which really fits in well. If you have got a child within the spectrum who needs predictability, this works perfectly well. So, not every time you need to have a visual timetable, or so over here it's clearly laid out. If they can, if they're at a level where they can read the instruction, you can easily use that. So, I think this helps them to structure their thought, to manage their time, and I think this is a brilliant, very simple way to do it. And it's, you don't have to use it only for a child with SEN, but if it's something you have it as a whole class part of the display on your whiteboard, every single child can benefit from it. And because this is a really crucial part for to develop their executive functioning, and I think that's it just makes it so much easy. Sometimes I was doing this conference this morning where I was talking about inclusion and making space, uh, changing the environment. And one thing that I said was inclusion is making space in your mind, like changing the mindset. If, as a teacher, we do not change our mindset, it's never going to happen. We can give you thousands of strategies, expensive one, free ones, easy ones, but if you as a teacher, if we as a teacher, if we do not feel that we want to do it, nothing can change. So before we talk about the strategies, my first thing for all the teachers will be, let's make it our belief, let's make it a practice that everybody is included. It's not forced upon. We are aware, most of the teachers, we work on the periphery of being aware of a child's need. But what we need to move on to make all the strategies that we can talk about to work is we have to start accepting. So, from having an autism awareness day or dyslexia awareness day, we need to move on to having an acceptance day or an acceptance week. No, we have to make it part of our life. We have to accept that this child is in my class, this child is my responsibility. So when I'm planning the lesson, I'm planning it for everybody. So let's move on to the positive mindset with acceptance of the students in our class. That should be the number one strategy. Then everything will fall in place easily.
So, Sreepriya, can you share an example of something you tried in the classroom that worked really well?
A very simple thing, like when I do any kind of presentation or slides, I just use a very like dyslexia friendly font, like Comic Sans or Arial, font size 14, space enough space, and the background pale yellow. So it's not only for the child, it's for the whole class, so they don't see it as something extra. They don't see it as, oh, why only me, I'm going to have a colored paper. And it just takes away the whole that embarrassment, or you don't have to then print it off in color. So even if they open it up on their device and you give them a black on white background, they can still read it because they have got that information on the screen in a way that they can do it. It just takes, yeah, I know we download things, but we can just give 5 minutes to change the font and change the background and just do it. And I think that works really well for me.
Yeah, and maybe something that didn't go with the plan, didn't go well.
Yeah, it goes really well because that is part of my practice. So all my presentations, they all have the same font. So nobody realizes that it's actually made for one particular student. And they all have first what we do, second and third, as you said, is kind of very clearly written down in my what we call lesson objective. It's like
Yeah,
first objective, we do it, and then I change the lesson objective as we go, so they know what exactly we are doing.
yeah. No, what I'm asking is there maybe something that didn't go as planned? Because I
Oh,
think we
didn't
learn
go
just as much
as
from what
Oh, there
doesn't
are
work.
lots of things. There are lots of things doesn't go on as per plan, because when you work with secondary age students with all good intentions, you just don't know which hormonal level they are at, and then you with
Yeah,
all your good intention, they will find something that they will be moaning about. So again, it just there's so many things. Yes, Caroline.
I was just
yeah,
thinking, yeah, you were making me smile then because there are so many things that do go wrong. But I think you hit the nail on the head about the relational side of things and accepting. It's about accepting each individual may be different to what you're expecting, and that's okay. Because we get so frustrated as educators. I am sure we've been in education for so many years. We see the frustrations with the young people, but also when you've got early career teachers coming in and they want to show progress and they want to show how good these young people are being, but they're just not doing it the way you want to. It's actually being big enough and saying, I'm the adult here. Instead of saying that to the child, say it to yourself. You're the adult,
Exactly.
change it. This child is obviously not responding in the way that I'd hoped. What could I do differently? Because what we tend to do as educators, because we have so many young people in the classroom, especially in the UK, very large classrooms, it's, oh, for goodness sake, I just go and do it. Actually, that's a reflection on my teaching. That's not a reflection on the young person's ability. That's my issue that I have to deal with and be big enough to say, I tried, it didn't work, and now I realise that actually I need to accept that that young person, I need to take a step further, even further back, to enable them. And that's the biggest difference. That we get so frustrated, but these young people just want to belong. They just want to be part of the world and show you what they can do. And from that springs so much confidence, so much enabling to try harder and want to try harder, because they're not fearful. They're not fearful of failing. They're not fearful of getting shouted at. They're being told, I accept you, and I'm going to try and help you move from where you were to the next step. It may not be where I'd hoped you'd be, but you are making progress. And for me, even those softer skills should be measurable, because
Now,
young
I think,
people.
yes, please carry on.
I was just saying, young people's emotions get so strong and so overwhelming sometimes that, like, Sreepriya, that they lash out and they get angry and they hit something and all the rest of it. And on those times that I would then use my language, which would lead me on to the next slide, which would be sort of like, I can see, not you're doing the wrong thing. I can see that something's not right. I can see as an adult that I need to help you, let me help you. And I think the more we as educators see young people as young people, rather than points on a page or points of score against a school, the more chance we have of well-rounded young people in education in the future.
I think that as a teacher, one thing, I think one of the key strategy I always tell the teachers is that think about the words that you're using.
Yeah.
The choice of word is so important. It can make such a huge difference. You can have the best resources, best differentiated lesson, but if your word is not correct, if your voice modulation is not correct, if your body language is not correct, and all these things are something that we can control, everything will fail. And by the way, sorry, you said there's something that went wrong, and I just remembered one thing that often frequently goes wrong is with giving them movement break. I like there's one little one. Every time I give him a movement break to do some good job, go and give Miss So and So the book, and either he gets into an argument with somebody, or he needs to go to the loo, and then he forgets that he has to come back to class. So often that outside going for a walk movement break goes wrong, but we are getting there.
Yeah. So another challenge teachers often face is different learning speeds in the same classroom. So how do you manage that?
Do you want to start, Caroline?
I was trying to be polite.
You start, then I can follow you.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So take up time. I don't know if you've got the little slide there of the stopwatch. So take up time for a lot of young people are teachers are sitting at the front and they've got to be really fast paced. They get told keep pace, make sure you're moving forward in the lesson all of the time. And yet young people, average young people, take between 5 and 10 seconds to process information before they can actually speak. And we say, right, little Johnny, I would like to ask you this question. What's 4 times 2? And there's like, four times 2. Come on. And a lot of teachers actually expect a response within 0.2 seconds. And then they go, come on, can you not think? Hurry up. And the massive pressure that puts. Now, I put it to you. I'm just going to ask you to stay silent for 10 seconds. I'm going to count you in, and I want you to feel how long 10 seconds actually is. Are you ready? Go. That's a scary long time when you're stood in front of 30 children. However, that's the amount of time that some children need just to understand the question, let alone work out the answer. So, one little tip for that, if you have somebody who has got audio processing difficulties or just finds information difficult to process, actually say to them, I've got a question for you, and I'm going to come back to you in 3 more questions to see if you've got the answer. And that way, the young person's been given the time they need to think. They still feel they're taking part in the lesson, but they haven't been put under such enormous pressure that they've shrunk into themselves and have panicked and feel worried and anxious again. And just that little tip can have such a big impact in the classroom. Shree.
Um, I actually do the same thing, but what I have got is I've got a rule that nobody can respond before 10 seconds. So it's not just pointing out to one person. That gives me time to think, have I got those? So that 10 seconds is for anybody to ask any specific question, but nobody can answer. So I've got my sand timer. I don't use a digital time. For me, everything is a sand timer. So before 10 seconds, if you respond before 10 seconds, you might be the brightest button in the class and knew the answer, but you cannot answer before 10 seconds. If you answer, you lose a point. So after 10 seconds, you can raise your hand and you can answer.
That's
Because they
also
also
another
need to,
really good skill, isn't it? Because they're listening and having to wait. And that
and
is a
because
really
most
big
of the
skill.
time they don't. And this is one thing actually was suggested to me by one of my students. He said that, Miss, even if I know the answer, the so and so is always answering because he's smarter than me.
Hmm.
So I said, okay, let's do it then this way. And then we did it, and it just made such a huge difference. So the so-called the brightest button in the class who learned that, oh, I need to wait as well. Oh, okay, so that he's not that stupid like they used to call him. So everybody has to wait because they all need to learn to wait.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Another
it would,
great skill.
it's a kind of a universal design. So everybody, I'm expecting the same from everybody. So that might be another easy one to do.
Now I to bring in something really important. Do you see differences in how inclusion is approached in your contexts? Like
In my school,
that what works in one country or even one school might not directly translate somewhere else.
I think inclusion, it will work, as I said, that with the mindset. And we often see that this child was doing so well last year, but this year they're not doing very well because the teacher has changed, the mindset has changed. So I think one thing in the current school where I'm working, we are working a lot is from the top, the mindset we are trying to change. So we are kind of trying to force inclusion for with some people. So it's kind of becoming what is expected of you. That's part of the whole process. So standardizing certain expectations is what we are trying to do. And so that has really helped, because if the people on top, their mindset doesn't change, we cannot change anybody, because again, it's we all learn from modeling. Students learn from us, we do what is expected of us. So I think it's a process where we are expect students to be inclusive. We expect, we can buy thousands of resources, again, as I say, but we need to feel. One thing I've realized, that often teachers, when they say, when they focus on the behavior and they start correcting the child in front of their peers, the child has got an identity now. So few days back only, I was working with two little ones, and one was saying, oh, so and so is a naughty boy. Why? Because we all know, and then having this behavior, I don't know, that's my personal opinion. I think especially at primary age, having those uh, you are moving up the good point and you are going down the thing, that visual thing, I find it quite it affects the students, because some people, they can never reach the top because of their difficulty. So catch them when they're being good. And so yes, it's
Yeah.
visually, the child can see what choice they're making, where they're moving. It's, but think and ask yourself, a 5 year, do you having that for a 5 year old? Are we teaching them? Are we helping them change their way? Are we teaching them how to learn? We should be teaching them how to learn. They don't know. So only thing they can see, oh,
Opportunity.
I'm not doing it, or I'm doing it. So XYZ is always on top because they are the quiet ones. And ABC are always at the bottom because they are the flamboyant ones. So it's their
Yeah.
personality. So having that, and that kind of gives an image, and then I have often seen that the so-called the top ones always use cover their own footprint with, so and so has done it. It was not me. For them it was an accident, but for them it is always a deliberate one. And I think these sort of things we need to work on as a strategy to make inclusion work, when everybody is equally responsible for their action. Sorry, it's me.
But no, no, I agree with what you're saying. But in the in the same token, for so many years, I'm in my third decade of seeing the cycle of education and how it works, and so often inclusion has been put as a bolt on, as oh, we've got this, oh, you're only 2% of the entire school. What? So you're saying they're not important? Because to me, if inclusion is at the center of the school before any teaching and learning takes place, then everybody is aware and everybody is expected to be inclusive within their teaching techniques. And unfortunately, in teacher training, especially in the UK, many teachers get no more than 2 hours training on special educational needs and meeting needs. So of course they're going to get frustrated because they wanted average. They're taught to, or they're trained about average. There's those who are high flyers and there's those who really struggle. But actually, the effort comes for those who really struggle. There should be more emphasis on those who really struggle because that's harder work. Whereas if you've got a curriculum that people who are able to absorb the curriculum, who are able to understand what they're being told, and they can move themselves on and they've got the maturity to move on in their learning themselves, they're going to thrive. Absolutely, they will thrive. But just
Yeah.
because somebody isn't on a level playing field, which is what something separate from and different to is how we class special educational needs in the UK. If they need something separate from everybody else, then just put in to make them that level playing field. And it might be a task card, it might be a mind break, it might be giving them processing time. It might be so many of these little things that we still get frustrated with our young people who are really struggling. They work so hard. The vast majority of special educational needs children work so hard, right the way through primary, all the way through secondary, and they get to their qualifications, and all of a sudden, all they see is ungraded, ungraded, ungraded. So, what
And
do I actually say to them as young people? Why aren't we saying, actually, you've achieved this, you've achieved that over this time? Look what you've accomplished, and
I
we
think
don't do it.
we forget to celebrate their small success. Again,
100%.
we can talk about lots of strategies, but I think one of the biggest strategy is to change your mindset as a teacher. Try to
Mm.
Exactly.
catch them being good.
Yes.
Focus on the success. Like severely dyslexic child who used to go get zero in all the spelling tests got 6 out of 20. Yes, it's
Wow.
a fail, but it is a success for that person. So
100%.
Yes.
celebrate that. Let that child see that you have made the progress. Oh God, you have failed again. Yeah, the last maths test was zero. This maths test is four. Progress.
Success.
Yes, it might not be progress in the term of the bigger scheme of work, but catching them being good at that point of time makes a huge difference. Another thing I always ask the teachers to be mindful is when you meet the parents, they know their child has got difficulty. If a child has the child has got to remember as a teacher that the child has got a diagnosis because they have got that difficulty. Otherwise, they wouldn't have the diagnosis. So there's no point in telling that, oh, she can't spell, she can't read, she needs. For
They know.
God's sake, that's why they have got a diagnosis. If they didn't have that difficulty, they wouldn't have that diagnosis. So if they are struggling, they're struggling. Yeah, no, there's no point in telling you're struggling. The child has heard it, the parents have heard it every single day, the friends are telling them every single minute, they know they're way behind their peers. There's no point in telling them that even more. Instead of, oh wow, look, this is something you have done really well. Like someone I know who doesn't know Myanmar language at all, but is very proud of her success in Myanmar humanities, because the teacher, what she has done is, because Sahar is very good in drawing, so she has changed her entire exam to what's more towards drawing.
Yeah, and another way of recording, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, a lot of our dyslexic, you're talking about some dyslexic students of yours, a lot of dyslexic students have an incredible articulate voice, but they can't record. So why do we hold them back saying, make sure you write the date, make sure you put the heading, underline it, do this, do that? Actually, they've used all their energy to do that. So any writing that you were hoping to get from them has gone because they're visually stressed. Their heads have gone, in my words, splat, and they can't absorb any more in. So therefore, what use is a date and a heading when you're actually teaching capital letters and full stops, or when you're actually talking about adverbs and verbs? Whereas if they can articulate it to you as a teacher, all you have to write in their book is, they have told me and have shown me that they are able to do this by using these sentences. Couple of minutes in their books to show that feedback. Then the child knows they've succeeded, even though their writing looks like spiders all over the page. They've shown a capability, and we shouldn't hold them back. We should be looking at those technologies that are so widely available now. Speak to text, for
This reminds
example.
me of something. Very recently, I was having this conversation with my daughter about maths calculation, and you have to do it. Maths exams coming up, so she looked at me and said that, well, I'll have a calculator, but the problem with calculator is that 2 and 5 look same.
Mm,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
said, but still you need to practice. And then she looked at me and said, but you know what, when I grow up, I can use AI to help me. I don't understand why people are forcing this onto me when and not letting me use AI when I've got AI to use. Exactly. Look forward.
yeah.
And
Look,
we said,
look for the technologies that can
teacher
support
said
and
that,
help.
oh, you used AI to help you structure your answer. That's cheating. And I said, like, that's kind of, it was not copying. That's a model. And then she worked on it. The fact that she has used the skill set to learn, to teach herself, should be praised.
Yeah,
If it's a primary age child and who's running around, moving around, cannot sit on a place, give every single child their own island to sit on. So they
mm,
know that's their place, that's their island, rather than giving them a very vague idea. Oh, come and sit, move front. Where? How far? Where is that front?
yeah,
Create that boundary where they need to sit. If you have a quiet corner in the class for people to manage their emotions or meltdown, make it available for everybody.
Yeah.
Every single child needs that space. Some says,
absolutely.
some doesn't. So you can have, like I have a little card, which every child, if they want to go and sit in that calm corner, they need to just give me that card silently, and they can go and sit in the corner. I don't ask any question why they need to go. Initially, it was of a big thing, like, oh, everybody wanted to go there, but that
It
woo
soon
thing
passes.
goes away. Yeah. And then they
Yeah,
know they need it when they need it. And now it's used sensibly. And I think when we make these adjustments available to everybody, the best thing happens is that then It's not a you are different. You all
Mm.
can have it. When
Yeah.
everybody has access to speech to text, when everybody has got access to text to speech, use it.
Yeah, actually, I also think the one big shift is moving from fixing students to adapting environments.
Perfect. Yes.
Uh, Let us just bring in our audience for a moment. So, if you are watching live, what what's one strategy you already use in your classroom, or maybe what's one challenge you are currently facing? If you could just write on the comment section, we will try to pick a few and respond.
To just
Yes.
extend, is it okay to extend just on what Sri says as we're waiting for those questions to come in? When we're talking about the environment, we also, we were talking about seating plans and things like that, and actually having places in the classroom that everybody can use. It's again being aware of light coming in, about distractions by the side of windows. It's do people feel fearful close to the door? Or do they feel surrounded and not able to manage in those situations? Actually, seating plans can be really powerful in enabling and including your young people. Sitting those who perhaps have a friend and feel safer with somebody in a two on a nice seat where they can work together builds confidence. Somebody who may have ADHD sitting by a window is not always going to be beneficial because the distraction is there constantly, especially if there's lots of traffic going by or there's leaves and trees flowing outside your window. These things need to be considered. But again, it comes down to that relationship. Do you know them well enough to know that they're going to struggle with that? So again, using your environment, you may just see your classroom as just a room. It isn't. It's an amazing resource, and you can be so inclusive. You can have a booth, but don't keep it for one child. Like Sreepriya said, if they've got a quiet corner, let anybody use it if they need it. Yes, I can't concentrate. There's too much noise. I feel sick. I don't want to do this, and I'm getting agitated. Would you like to sit in the quiet space? Would you like to sit in the booth so you've got just some space on your own, just to find your equilibrium? Don't always assume that children are being difficult. They're sharing their life with you. They're saying they're not coping, they're not managing, and instead of dismissing it, say, I can see that. I can see that you're struggling, and yes, of course, go and use that quiet space. They then see you as an ally. They then see you as somebody who wants to help them and who can help them and are willing to help them. They're going to enjoy coming to school far better than if people are raising their voices and telling them that they're no good and the fact that they're not doing what they'd hoped to do. So I think the classroom environment, although people just dismiss it, oh, it's just the classroom. Oh, no, it's not. There is such an incredible strength in how you seat your young people within the classroom.
And also, I think when we have our planning and preparation time, it's not only about printing worksheet and creating the slides. It's
Mm,
about actually actively thinking about every single child you teach.
mm,
Use that planning and preparation time carefully. And nowadays, to be honest, that day I was scrolling through the phone and seeing some reels. There's some really amazing reels where you can learn simple games, simple things that you can do with things around you. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to buy expensive things, expensive
absolutely.
resources. It's all there. It's just that use your planning time carefully. Then you won't need us to tell you strategies that you can use when you
Mm,
just spend 20 minutes, 15 minutes every day just thinking about every single child and thinking, oh, how will that child learn this? You will see, you will know what to do. And
mm,
honestly speaking, teaching becomes interesting. Otherwise, it's monotonous, it's tiring because we are making it tiring for ourselves. Giving the worksheet, standing there and talking, students not listening. And also remember, today's generation kids, they're used to their attention span is less than 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Because if the reel doesn't draw their attention in the first less than 1 second, they flick. So we are expecting them to pay attention for 1 hour, for 45 minutes. So if you can't grab their attention, you have lost them. So they can sit quietly, not taking in. And half of the time, that's where the learning gap is also happening. So again, during your planning and preparation time, think carefully. Think about the words you're going to use. Think about how you're going to hook them. They're drifting. Get in some, fun facts, quiz, trivias in between. Go away from the subject you're teaching and then come back. And then you'll realize that how much they have actually heard or listened. They heard you, but did they listen? Did they process the information? So randomly give breaks to all the students by playing a quiz, by
Mm.
talking about the latest trend, and then get back to the topic again. You will
Yeah.
see a completely different perspective, and that will give the brain break, movement break, whatever break, those scientific technical terms, but it'll just make our life easy, and it'll be fun, and you'll be a cool teacher.
My internet is quite patchy today, so I think we should wrap up the session now. Uh, so I'd like to ask each of you one final question. If you had to leave our audience with just one takeaway, what would it be? Caroline.
Um, my takeaway would be stand in front of your class, take a deep breath, and look at them. Look at each individual little face. Look at their eyes and say, I'm here for you. I'm going to try my best, but I'm here for you. I'm not going to talk at you. I'm going to work alongside you so that
Yeah.
you are able to make the best progress that you can. Even though I want the world for you, you're going to make the best progress that you can while you're in my class.
Very important.
I One thing I would just like to say, I just saw a question: managing different students who are at different academic levels and different abilities.
Mm,
It's not
that's
that
critical.
difficult to do. Again, when you plan, say for
Mm,
example, if you're talking about if you're doing a spelling test, say for example, somebody who can spell, somebody who can't spell. Spelling test doesn't have to be, I'll dictate a word and you'll write it down. It can be, you spell the word wrong on the board and let them identify. You can give them multiple choice, yeah, so
mm,
that they can identify the correct word. You can play a game which I loved and the students loved, is you spell the word out, they have to tell what word it is. One day you can do it with phonics, sounding out the sound. Next day you can do it, then you can do it with the letter names. So that way the letter sound association is also reinforced. They are not always writing. You have got your spelling list, you can have all the students name and you can make a tick who got which one correct. And so it's not boring, you are recording it. So same activity, you are differentiating.
yeah,
Someday,
another quick one. Sorry, I just interrupted. Sorry, Sri. Oh,
yeah,
all I was going to say was on top of the one that you just said about your spelling test is write a little story using your spellings. And
yeah.
then you can see in their books whether they are able to tell the story. And if your young person is not very good at writing, you could ask them to tell the story at a different time, 5 minutes at playtime. Tell me what your story was about. And then you're actually still meeting those needs. They're still all making and doing what the class was expected to do, but in a slightly different way.
Exactly. And sometimes exam doesn't have to be like answer, write down the answer. You can give them close activities, fill in the
Mm,
blanks, multiple choice, um, circle, write the correct my answer, proofreading activities. You're
mm.
doing punctuation. Yeah. Oh God, it's so boring. Give them a passage and let them put punctuation. Yeah. Color code.
Get them on
So
the
all
whiteboard, let them do it.
Exactly. There's so many ways. It doesn't have to be worksheet only. So
Yeah.
same activity, different ways. So yeah,
It's really, really powerful and reassuring. The message I'm taking away today is inclusion doesn't have to be complicated.
Mm.
It just has to be intentional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much to our wonderful speakers for sharing your insights, your honesty, and your experience. And thank you to everyone who joined us live or will be watching this later. If you found this useful, do share it with others, because the more we talk about inclusion, the more normal it becomes. Until next time, take care, keep learning, and keep making your classroom a place where everyone belongs. Bye. Thank you, Sreepriya. Thank you, Caroline. Bye for now.
Bye.
Ooh-wee.
Oh,
We're
wait.
still.
I'll call you later. I'll call you.
I got to teach. I'm going to disappear.